We're starting a brand new series today called Real Friends, and the whole point is to know how to have real friends, because isn't that what everybody wants? How many of you guys have been betrayed by somebody that you once called friend? Maybe you've made up since then and now you're still friends, but you were betrayed at one point by that person, right? I was talking to somebody recently, I think he was a high schooler though, and they were talking about, the story where I talked about where my best friend stabbed me with a pencil in class, and I still have the scar. So I tell that story probably once every couple of years, and so I think I've told it this year already, so I won't now. But we all have friends that have done wonderful and terrible things to us. So, that's part of friendship, that's part of life, but the reality is we all want real, authentic friendships that aren't fake, that aren't just surface level, that go deep, that have meaning to us and help us feel like we belong. And so for the next 3 weeks, we're going to be talking about what it looks like to have real friends, how to be a real friend and how to get them. And so hopefully this will be really helpful for you, because I know that you're in a season of life where maybe this is a little more challenging than it has been in the past for reasons we'll get into. So real quick, let's do a little exercise. Okay, I need you all to stand up, and I'm going to have you go to the corner of the room that you think is the best example of real friends, okay? So, do real friends go together like waffle fries to Chick-fil-A sauce, or chips and salsa, or ice cream and cake, or bacon and eggs? Which food analogy do you prefer? Pick a corner and go. So bacon and eggs up there, ice cream and cake back there, chips and salsa up here, or waffle fries and Chick-fil-A sauce back there. Wow, this is an even split already. Oh, except here. Seriously? Nobody's choosing waffle fries and Chick-fil-A sauce? I specifically chose that one. Okay, get out. You can't be here anymore. Chick-fil-A sauce is awesome. Sure, it's full of stuff that's really bad for you, but it's really tasty on the way down. All right. You guys, chips and salsa is a famous one, a popular one, right? I could always go for some chips and salsa too. Okay. All right. I find this acceptable. You guys can go ahead and have a seat. Thank you. I think we'd probably agree. I think we would probably agree that we all want friends that match up with us together perfectly. We want real friends, right? Real friends that go together like PB&J, like a burger and fries, like popcorn and soda, like Chick-fil-A sauce and waffle fries. What about Chick-fil-A sauce in the strips? Or the nuggets? Or dunk your sandwich in it. Just marinate it and just, so good. Guys, I'm really sorry that I'm working this up right now because it's closed today, because it's Sunday. But, you always want what you can't have, so just life lesson for you. What's it mean to have real friends? Now, I know that this is more difficult today for you than it was maybe as kids, because if you guys remember when you were kids, your parents would set up play dates with other parents, and it's really just an excuse for your parents to hang out with adults again. And then you guys just would go, for me, they would go to Burger King, because Burger King's had play places. They don't anymore. But I did recently visit my hometown, and it still has a play place. So, I'm pretty sure the building was closed down and it wasn't in use anymore. But it had a play place still built there. And so we would go and we'd play, and we'd eat our little chicken fingers and fries, and it was great. Maybe for you, your parents would get you together at one of your houses, and you'd eat, gummies and juice boxes or something, and then go play or something. Friendship was easy. You could make friends with anybody. But then as you grow, something happens. And it's not a bad thing. But you develop interests and hobbies of your own. And sometimes that means that the people your parents put you with as a kid, you still like each other fine. You don't necessarily have a problem with each other, but you're just not friends like you were as kids. You've made new friends. Some of you are experiencing a turnover in friendship now for the very same reasons. And again, not necessarily a bad thing. It's just part of growing. And sometimes friendships end for hurtful reasons. I recognize that's real as well. Some of you would say that you've got a million friends. You make friends easy. Some of you might say, you've got maybe not a million friends, but you got a few good friends that that you connect with, you would consider part of your inner circle. And some of you, maybe you just have one, but that's all you need. You just need one good friend. Some of you, maybe you don't have that, and you're like, man, I would really love to just have one good friend. I recognize we're all in different places here. We all have different personalities. Some of us are outgoing, some of us are not outgoing, and that's fine too. And so there's lots of complicating factors that tend to grow as you grow, and that makes relationships tougher at times. And so really, what we're going to be talking about in the next 3 weeks has to do with not only how you can make good friends now and be a good friend now, but how this concept can apply in the future as well, because I'm going to let you in on a little bit of secret. You're going to go through several life seasons of change where you get into high school, you get into a new building again, and you may have different friends. Your friend groups might change again. You might get into like your senior year of high school, your junior year of high school, and your friend group has changed like 2 or 3 or 4 times since your freshman year. You'll graduate and go to college, and even if you stay in town, you and your high school friends most likely disperse a little bit, right? There's friends that you'll have for life, and there's a lot of them you won't. And then you'll go to college, and that'll change, and you'll go into the real world as an adult, getting a job or whatever. Maybe you don't even go to college, you just go straight to the workforce, or you go to trade school. Whatever it is for you, you'll find different friend groups. Maybe you'll get into adulthood, and you'll go through several different seasons, like single life, married life, kid life, no kid life, and all your peers will be at different levels, and you'll have people that are your age that are in a different season of life, and you'll have people that are years apart from you, but you're in the same season of life, and age really doesn't matter a whole lot. It's more like the season of life you're in, and that's fine. That's all part of growing, but my point is, times change. You will grow. Your life will change. Different factors in your life will change, and your friendships and your relationships will change. And again, you'll have friendships that will endure your entire life. And you'll have a lot of friendships that don't. That'll be seasonal friendships. And that's a good thing. The ability to make friends and be a good friend is a life skill that will benefit you in the long run. And the better you are at this, the more that those seasonal friends will still be lifelong friends, even if you don't spend as much time together in the off season as you once did. And so if you want to really excel at your friendships, at your relationships, and pro tip, this will help you with your romantic relationships later too, right? Because none of you have those right now, right? I'm being a little facetious. I know some of you have a boyfriend or girlfriend. That's fine. I'm just saying these skills that we're talking about now when it comes to relationships will not only apply to friendships, but it will apply to all of your relationships. Whoa, you got rocks in your pocket? That's pretty epic. All right, so here's the reality. We find ourselves often feeling like there's a void when it comes to our relationships. We often feel like, and we see in those around us, friendships that we don't really want to model. That's the majority of relationships nowadays. Because relationships take work. Friendships are hard. They require selflessness. They require giving grace. They require overlooking the occasional slight. They require, being the bigger person at times. And so, because of that, some of us, this is a little more difficult than others. And when we feel lacking in our friendships, the question remains, how do we find friends that we're actually looking for? Have you guys ever asked this before? How do I find meaningful friendships that, I'm actually looking for? And so the reality is you guys have schedules to keep. You got class to go to. You got sports that you're in. You kind of have forced friendships, right? You're friends with people that you're in close proximity to just by way of our culture, the way things work, the way that you're required to spend your time. And so, it's really important to be intentional about how you make your friends and why you're friends, and then what you can do to improve on those friendships. And so, whether it's because of something that you're just friends because of close proximity, or you're friends because of some other extenuating factors or whatever, we're going to look at the best model for friendship. And the best model to look at when it comes to good friendship would be Chick-fil-A. Yeah, that's not wrong, okay? But maybe to a greater extent, Jesus, right? That's not a trick question. Yeah. Jesus. And so we're going to look to see, and we are going to look in the Bible to find our example about how Jesus demonstrates this. And so we're going to go to the Gospel of Luke. And so Luke was not one of Jesus' disciples. He was a physician. He was a doctor. He was an analytically minded person, but he also, went on missionary journeys with Paul and with some of the other disciples. And he documented the life and ministry of Jesus in his gospel. And so he's writing to people who didn't grow up in church, to people who didn't grow up with the Jewish faith, but people who were outside of that. And he's going, hey, these are the important things you need to know about Jesus and what he says for your life and how that changes you. So Luke writes, and he's writing this as Jesus was talking to people. And he writes this down in Luke chapter 6, starting in verse 31. He says, do to others. You guys know this verse? Do to others as you would like them to do to you. We often call this something else. What's this called? The golden rule, right? Your parents ever told you this before? Hey, treat others how you would want to be treated, right? Jesus coined that term first. It says, treat others the way you would like to be treated. And this is true, again, for all relationships. This is true for your life. This is true for your friendships. This is true for your any kind of relationships that you're going to have. And so he's talking about this specifically, how to love your enemies. He goes, treat others how you'd want to be treated, right? The best way to de-escalate a situation is to not contribute to the escalation of the situation by, trading insult with insult and et cetera. So do to others as you would like them to do to you. And think about what this would mean if we bring it into modern day terms and we hear Jesus talking about turn the other cheek, Well, what's that look like in today's life? Maybe it will look like, text others the way you would want to be texted, right? Think about it like that. Or invite others as you would want to be invited. Include others as you would want to be included. See others how you would want others to see you, right? Not just by your mistakes and your flaws, but by your strengths, the way God sees you. Talk to others as you would like to be talked to. Post on social media about others the way that you would want to be posted about, right? These are all like practical ways that you can do unto others the way you would like them to do to you. This concept is so simple, yet so difficult to live out. Because you and I naturally are going to think about what we're not getting out of our friendships. What we wish how we wish people would treat us, right? You're always going to do that because it's natural. But you can't really do anything about how other people treat you. You can't really do anything about the way you want other people to behave or act. What you can control is you. Right? And that's a tough lesson. People don't like that lesson. Okay? It's not a very fun one to hear, because then it requires you to do something. But Jesus, he basically, he's telling them like this, be the friend that you want to have. If you want to have great friendships, then take the first step. Be a good friend. Be to others what you would like them to be for you. And so Jesus, he demonstrates this great. And this is a passage that we bring up probably twice a year because it's so important. It's so important for where you're at developmentally. It's so important for you to understand that this is so key to so many of your relationships. In John chapter 13, right before Jesus gets ready to be crucified, to be arrested, and to be betrayed, even by his closest friends, he shows them the ultimate example of what it means to be a true friend, to truly show love to those around you. He does it in the form of washing their feet. And just as a quick recap, in John chapter 13, verses 4 through 5, this is what Jesus says. He got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel around his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin. And remember, people back then had really dirty feet. They walked on dirt roads, the same roads the animals walked on, and they did their thing. And they wore sandals. And he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. Right? It's just after this verse that he says, go and do unto others as I have done to you. It's another instance that he says that. How I have loved you, so you should love others. Ultimately, by doing what? For us today, is that washing feet? Probably not. That'd be a little weird, right? But how can you figuratively wash the feet of those around you? How can you serve those around you? How can you do unto others the way that you would want done to you? How can you treat others the way you would want to be treated? How can you serve others in a way that you would appreciate being served? How can you look out for the interests of others in a way that you would like people to look out for your own interests? This is how Jesus demonstrates it. Let me tell you, his disciples, sometimes you read the gospel and you're like, these people are idiots. Jesus just turned water to wine and they're already bickering about who's going to be the greatest, right? They're missing the point, right? In 1 second, Peter is being applauded because he gives the best answer about how Jesus is the Messiah. He is the Savior. And then the very next paragraph, Jesus is going, get behind me, Satan, because he's saying all the bad stuff, right? He's saying, you don't have your head in the right place, right? His disciples mess up a lot. And just, 12 hours or less after Jesus shows them what it means to be a true friend, his friends abandon him because he gets arrested. They're like, oh no, we don't want to get arrested. They run away. They abandon him, right? Peter denies knowing him when he's, tuning in on the situation. Jesus knows this. He's not dumb. He knows his disciples are going to fail. He knows that his friends, and his disciples were his friends. He knows that they're going to fall short. But he chooses to be the friend that he would want to have anyway. He chooses to love the way he would want to be loved. He chose to set the example. So the point of today's message is to be the friend that you want to have. I promise you that if you want to have good friendships, it's got to start with that. Be the friend that you would want to have. If you have an issue, if they do something to you, it doesn't mean you just let it roll off your shoulder and you never bring it up. You pretend like it never happened. Like there's such thing as healthy conflict resolution because we're all different. We're going to have conflict. We're going to all make mistakes. So treat others and their mistakes the way that you would want to be treated in your mistakes. Go approach them in love. And in Matthew chapter 18, Jesus talks about, working things out with you and the other person. Don't go talk to your other friends behind their back and try to get them to sympathize with why you're feeling the way you're feeling. You're probably justified in how you feel. But there might be another perspective. Maybe the other person didn't realize they did something. Go and talk and make amends, right? Treat others the way that you would want to be treated. Be the friend that you would want to have. If somebody has an issue with you, wouldn't you rather them come and talk to you and talk about why they're upset with you and then work it out? You can either apologize or you can tell them why they're wrong or share your perspective or whatever. Wouldn't you rather people approach you about that directly rather than them just to go and tell all your other friends how terrible of a friend you are, right? So be the friend that you would want to have in all circumstances. The first way that you can do this is to think about the kind of friend that you want to have, right? It sounds simple, but if you want to be the friend that you want, if you want to be the kind of friend that you want to have, then you should probably think about the kind of friend you want to have so that you can be that, right? Someone loyal, someone honest, someone who's going to treat with respect and show grace, those kinds of things. Think about the kind of friend you want to have. And secondly, be that kind of friend. Live it out. Practice what you preach or what you want to have done to you. So be the friend that you want to have. And as you guys get ready to go to your small groups to kind of finish out this conversation, I want you to think about this, okay? This is the question I want you to evaluate and maybe take a hard look in the mirror as you go to your groups. But if you're going to think about something as you go to groups, I want you to think about this. What kind of friend are you? Have you thought about that recently? What kind of friend are you? It's so easy for us to think about what kind of friends we have, what kind of friends they are. But it's very difficult sometimes to look inwardly and be like, what kind of friend am I? When was the last time I reached out to so-and-so? When was the last time I encouraged so-and-so? When was the last time I invited someone over who looked lonely? When was the last time whatever? What kind of friend are you? Think about that. I think that'll help really guide your discussion as we begin the series over the next few weeks and how we process not only how you can have great friends, but how you can be a great friend. So let me pray for you guys. You'll go to your small groups, and then we'll be done for the week.